Hey guys, we left off on the actual HTML part of the project. So next I want to tackle the styles. They are going to be componentized into partials in our actual project. So I want to reference everything we're doing and just kind of give it a decent look and feel. It doesn't need to be perfect in this case, but I'm just going to start with the actual body and just kind of go from there. I'm definitely referencing files right now, so if you don't want to watch this part, maybe I'll fast forward, maybe you can fast forward, up to you, but I just kind of wanted to do the full spectrum of creating this thing, so hopefully you don't mind. So I'm going to do font size of 14 globally, line height at 1.5, margin 0, padding 0. Font family is going to be that one we linked to in the HTML from Google, IBM Plex Sans. I really like their monotype font. I think that's the main one I kind of took interest in for coding, but I'm using a different one right now. Anyway, their sans serif is pretty nice too. I also created some breakpoints for our responsive styles. These are going to be mix-ins in a mix-ins SAS file. So I'm going to create mix-ins. And in fact, I will probably just reference this one because it's kind of a doozy. It's basically a function in our, you can create a mix-in that is a function by declaring it, call it breakpoint, and then we're just checking if each point matches what we pass in as this string. So if I were to write this right now, save this down and actually import this up here real quick. Mix-in. So here I actually want to change the font size to larger on mobile, so I'll do an @include. I don't think I have the key command. No, I had a shortcut on my other system, so that's okay. Include breakpoint medium. So that's targeting medium screens. So I'm looking through this and I'm targeting here, which is going to correlate to that size. Feel free to change these sizes to whatever you want. I kind of just have these set. They tend to work pretty well for me. So that's a max width property, by the way. So a lot of people do mobile first and do min width, and that's perfectly fine. I've learned it at max width, and I just find it a little more start from wide, work your way down. Other people would say that's the terrible way to go, and if I get a design that's a full up of the desktop first, that's typically where I start. So I feel like that's where I should, continue to go. Anyway, rambling. We're gonna just put this here for now because there's not really a good home for it. I could create a utilities partial, but I don't think it's that important to do. I'm gonna create quite a few more. So we're gonna have, let's see, buttons. And I'll reference our button style sheet. So this one's kind of a doozy. The base button is going to have quite a few properties. So we have all of our button classes now. So our base button is going to have a defined height of 50, but these are going to be a bit different just to kind of give a different look and feel for different applications. And finally, our button dropdown, which is a custom button style that's going to reference the pseudo selector. So the after is what we'll be doing. So the button itself needs to be positioned relative to do what we do with it. So I'm going to give it some padding to the right. And this is kind of a crappy scenario where I need to put important because our button already has padding declared twice, if you think about it. So I'm just kind of making sure there's extra padding to the right to account for this drop down arrow, which we're going to add using the pseudo selector in SAS. You can target it like this, give it content of an empty string, and we'll declare that background image. If you recall, we added that SVG before, and it's going to be in assets, images, and then it's going to be called dropdown arrow SVG, position absolute, and right will be 10, width will be 10 because it is about 10 pixels wide, height is 4, top is going to be 50%, and margin top -2 pixels. So you can compensate for this thing. Since it's absolutely positioned, you want it to be like in the middle. So when you do it, you can give it a top of 50% and do a negative margin of half its height or width. In this case, it's height. So we have height of 4, but I do margin top of 2 to get it right in the middle. So that'll make more sense when we see it. For some reason, I made a color partial that has one thing in it. So let me just go ahead and define that. I guess I assumed there'd be more, but I didn't add it. So let's see, what's the order here? We have mixins, color. I need to add a normalized style sheet too, just to kind of make sure everything's reset. So I called this primary color, and it's going to be, this is what I ended up using, 6E80B2. Done. And you can go Google normalize if you want. Should be the first thing you see, download, or you can do yarn add this. I'll just assume copy it, it's fine. Put that in this file and call it a day. Just resets your browser based on everything that's going on with it. We're getting there. Okay, so next I have the actual main meat and potatoes, which is the header style sheet. This one's going to have the most in it, and quite a bit of it actually. So I'll put that last. Shared and then header. So let's go to that file, and I declared some variables in this file just because I like to keep them where they apply as opposed to going and hunting a giant file of variables. It's just kind of a preference. A lot of people don't do that though. All right, so we have some variables defined. From here we can just basically start styling this stuff, and I didn't do it from top to bottom. It's kind of one of those things you just start noticing things that are broken on the screen, and you go back and forth and back and forth. So the way I'm coding it on screen is definitely not how I actually do it. It's just kind of for your sake, so I can go faster and, you know, make this stuff look good. So that should get everything kind of pushed to the right and stuff. We don't have our nav left and rights displaying Flexbox yet, but we will. So that's coming up here. So we have our basic nav styles that I want to add now too. So I'll make that. Below nav, we have the nav brand. So we'll start with that one. Our nav brand, which is basically in here, which I just realized I think I wrote that wrong. It should be nav brand. Yeah, right there. So let me go back and change that. Oops. There we go. Okay, so here we have the toggle. So this is going to be displayed flex as well. So this part is going to float left. This one's going to float right. That's what we're after on mobile. So let's go ahead and make that work. Let's go back. And we'll have nav item. So this is like sprinkled in throughout all the items in the nav, just kind of giving it a unified class where we can target everything. And then nav collapse. This is the div that is encasing the entire menu that's going to hide on mobile and be opened through JavaScript once we get to that point. All right, so Nav Avatar, this is getting into just kind of the stylistic stuff. And we can take a look at Steve's stuff right now. So here we have everything kind of going full width and whatnot. Looks like it's not honoring that though. Oh, it's because I don't have right yet. Yeah, I do actually. I forgot one thing on nav in. It should be flex 1. That makes sure it pushes it all the way over. So it takes up the remaining space. That didn't work though. What? Flex 1, justify centered. Oh, I can't type. All right, so I mistyped justify center here. It's actually justify content. And that should do it. So these things should be floating to the right now. You see them way over here, which is awesome. All right, so we should have kind of the things we're after here. We've got that effect now that we were just coding it, so that's cool. Our links and stuff don't look anything like I want them to, but we will get to where we're using that quite soon, actually. Yeah, that's when we theme it. So up next, I'm going to do the dropdown. All right, so now we're going to style each drop-down item. So let's do that. This is each list item within the UL. So it'll be these things. And those are going to be, there's quite a few things I need to take care of. So that needs to go just here, and things should look a lot better. There we go. So everything's set to white right now, but it'll look better in a minute. Because we have header dark as the theme, but we don't have either of those classes. So now we'll theme it out, and that will be the end of the styles, hopefully, unless I did something wrong here. So I'll start with a light theme. All right, cool. So that's the light theme. The dark theme is a little more involved, but it's not too bad. Our theme should be all square. Things are not looking right though. So what's up with this? All right, so I had some issues with the button styles. So they were all wonky, and I went back through and just kind of compared code. It took me, I'm not quite sure what honestly I did wrong, but I think I might have had something misspelt along the way, and it just was taking too long. So I actually referenced my other project, the one I showed as a demo. But we've made it this far. This video has gone way too long, I know, but we've got all of our buttons and everything in place. Our different themes are in place. So if I change this to heading light, we should have a light theme as well. So that's great. So up next is to actually make this thing interactive and get our drop downs to work, as well as make things toggle once we hit this button on mobile. So let's do that in the very next video, and I'll see you there.